As a whole, I feel like we really lost our identity. With the rise in everything like social media and especially the trends on it, I feel like we all started to become very similar. I've also noticed it a lot in even the way we dress and even our appearances. Everyone starts to feel like the same. And don't get me wrong, we all have our own styles and we have our own kind of aesthetics, but I feel like even with our differences, we can still all be categorized into groups. So we're not really that different, are we? Like in school, right? You might have the jocks, the nerds, and the emos, but still, everyone in those groups starts to look the exact same. Even though they're different groups with different aesthetics and vibes, everyone starts to just appear the same. Everyone's just clones of one another. I feel like this is also very apparent in the YouTube and content creation space. Especially when a trend happens, everyone hops on that trend and it really doesn't deviate much. Personally, I love to see it when people mock a trend or they kind of put their own spin on it because they're changing it up. They're adding something to it. But when everyone starts to do the exact same thing with the exact same mannerisms, it just starts to get boring. It just starts to make everything feel like it has no soul. It just feels like there's no soul left in anything. And I feel like this is very apparent once you start to monetize platforms. I feel like if YouTube was never monetized, imagine the content that would be put out nowadays. People would start posting videos just to post them. People would make them for their own entertainment. But once it becomes more commercialized, that's when everyone starts to do the same thing. This can be seen especially with people like Mr. Beast. The whole term Mr. Beastification of YouTube. It's a very real thing. And you can see it a lot, especially on platforms like TikTok, where the dances are the same, the people start to look the same, even down to the haircuts, the appearance, everything just starts to look the same. So that's why I truly feel like we're losing our identity. And it's also because on a lot of these platforms, it's easier to jump on a trend instead of trying to create your own. So that's why it really ruins individuality. It makes it really hard to be original. That's what we see so much of on this platform. It's everyone trying to hop on a trend and everyone trying to ride the wave of success, but it just takes away from that creativity. We lose that creativity, we lose that originality, and we lose ourselves. And don't get me wrong, it is a little ironic because this is a trend. What I'm doing is currently a trend, but I feel like in a way it still is a bit creative because I don't script these videos. I say what's on my mind. I do this all off the top of my head, and I find it as kind of a nice soothing outlet for me to really get my feelings out there anonymously. Because there's many things I feel strongly about, but I don't know if I feel comfortable enough putting a true identity and a name behind it. So in a way, yeah, this channel doesn't really have an identity. You don't really know anything about this channel or who I am, and I don't mind it being like that. And I think that's another thing too that really contributes to this whole loss of identity, because there's many people just like me that we want to make content, but we don't know if we really want to put an identity or a character behind it. Sure, we can put on this online persona, but to know us in real life, that's kind of a different thing. But even on the topic of identity, I feel like I've changed my identity a lot. I feel like comparing myself to the person that graduated high school, middle school me is very different from high school me, especially in senior year. But I'm more different now than I ever have been before. I feel like based off of my personality alone, people really just wouldn't recognize me. I've changed a lot with the way I think, the way I act, and really my aspirations and goals in life. So in a way, I did lose my identity even in real life. But in a way, I feel like it's a good thing. I might have not lost my identity, but I definitely changed it for sure. And I feel like that's what a lot of people on here have also done. I feel like a lot of people on here, they might not lose themselves, but they definitely change themselves. And a lot of the time it's for the better. If I was the same person that I was in senior year of high school, I really wouldn't have done much. I really wouldn't be that far in my life. And I mean, I'm not really that far in my life right now, but changing myself for the better, it can only lead to a better life for myself, a better life for others. So in that sense, the loss of identity for me is a good thing. And personally, I don't mind kind of starting to look like everyone else. I know I did have my own style, but my own style didn't really work. in that same sense of how I tried to do my own thing, but going that route, it really didn't work out for me. So obviously the easiest thing is to just blend in with the masses, even if it does sacrifice our own originality and our own thoughts. The main reason people are fine with losing their identity is because they become more focused on different things. Because in reality, you can have all the originality and creativity that you want, but if you can't monetize it, if you can't live off of it, then it starts to become a bad thing. Not saying that we're all greedy, but this world leaves us no choice but to have to make money and to really prioritize that. So if we're not able to make money off our individual character, we have to turn to trends and other ways to grow. Because sometimes being an individual, it doesn't really pay the bills, at least not for a long time. It's much easier to just follow a trend or follow what everyone else is doing, and if that's what's making money, then so be it. So in a way, it's our own society that made us like this. So the loss of identity, it is a bad thing that we're losing creativity and we're losing ourselves, but in a way it can be a good thing because sometimes it can lead to us creating a new and even better identity. So that's going to be it for this episode, and until next time.